To all those who say, well, the Justice Department has overstepped its bounds, it shouldn't be. Let me give you a synopsis. Let me give you a 4-year synopsis of what the deep state did to their political prisoner, General Michael Flynn. This is through the Obama administration and through holdovers in the deep state, the senior executive service level in the Trump administration. This is what they did to General Flynn. They threatened him. They ambushed him. They framed him. They fabricated evidence. They abused him through the legal system. They violated his rights. They withheld evidence. They coerced him. Yeah, they threatened to, well, if he didn't sign an agreement, they'd prosecute his kid and probably the remainder of his family. They bankrupted him. They did all of that to General Flynn. And the deep state still lost. Why? Goes back to my mom's statement. It's because General Flynn and every member of his family and Sidney Powell were willing to give their lives for the truth. That is something that the deep state, the totalitarians, would never do themselves. And they never counted on anyone else doing it. So in addition to the hooting and hollering by deep state puppets, there were many people who were very joyful. Quote, "He is an innocent man," end quote, Trump happy after Department of Justice drops all charges against General Flynn. This is from Zero Hedge. Shortly after Brandon Van Grack, chief of the Justice Department's Foreign Agents Registration Act Division, filed a notice of his withdrawal in federal court in Washington, the Justice Department has filed a motion to drop the criminal case against President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, abandoning the critical leg of many leftists' belief in the Russia collusion BS. And all it took was one line. What was that one line? And he said, "The government's motion to dismiss the criminal information against the defendant, Michael T. Flynn, the United States of America hereby moves to dismiss with prejudice the criminal information filed against Michael T. Flynn." The article goes on, as Byron York notes, the Justice Department finally concedes it had no basis to interview Michael Flynn on January 24th, 2017, with the move coming less than a week after unsealed documents in the case fueled renewed claims by Flynn that FBI agents had cooked up a bogus case against him. In court documents, the Justice Department said it's dropping the case after a considered review of all the facts and circumstances of this case, including newly discovered and disclosed information. End quote. The Justice Department said it had concluded that Flynn's interview by the FBI on January 24th, 2017 was, quote, untethered to and unjustified by the FBI's counterintelligence investigation into Mr. Flynn, and that the interview on January 24th, 2017 was conducted, quote, conducted without any legitimate investigative basis, end quote. But remember, General Flynn was targeted by the deep state because he wouldn't play ball. He wouldn't play ball with the totalitarian puppets that the deep state had put in, quote, leadership positions in the United States government. 3, just to name 3. Obama, Brennan, and Clapper. Remember that interview I did on March 19th, 2017 with General Tom McInerney, who presented information that Admiral Ace Lyons also brought forward? That Three individuals in particular led the charge about illegal surveillance. Not just on the NSA platform, which had been documented for 20 years by the great Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe, who put their lives on the line to expose that. And we've talked about that. Go to the top of this YouTube channel. There's an interview I did with Bill and Kirk that discusses this fact. But it's something actually even more sinister. And that is that leading the charge, Obama, Brennan, and Clapper took a surveillance system that was being used on an international basis to monitor terrorists, and they commandeered it. It's what's called a parallel platform. There are many of them, one of which is the one that General McInerney, Admiral Lyons presented, called the Hammer. And that was taken, it was privatized for their own little use. For what? To see the beauty, as they saw it, of this illegal surveillance platform, parallel platforms, is that, well, you can't get caught because there's no internal reporting system like there is on the NSA log system that Bill Binney helped devise. So you could rummage around and get information on political opponents or anyone you want on this parallel platform, and no one would know that you were messing around with it. And then you could take that information and you could use it to blackmail people, to bribe people, to push your agenda. And it was through this parallel platform system that Obama, Brennan, and Clapper utilized to get information on, Donald Trump, and on, General Flynn, but also thousands of other Americans that were seen as political adversaries. Not really. How about political opponents of them? Political dissidents? Yeah. And how do we know that Obama was involved in that? It goes all the way to the top. Let me see if I can pull this off, one eye and all. Let's see. This is James Clapper. And here's what James Clapper had to say to CNN. Let's take a listen now. This is one of the three amigos, Obama, Brennan, Clapper.
Blown off what the then Commander-in-Chief, President Obama, told us to do, which was to assemble all the reporting that we had available to us, and put it in one report that the president could pass on to the Congress and to the next administration. And while we're at it, declassify as much as we possibly could to make it public. And that's what we did. And it's kind of disconcerting now to be investigated for, having done our duty and done what we were told to do by the president.
Done what we were told to do by the president. Well, sounds like a rat turning on another rat, doesn't it? I think it does. And that's just the beginning. And then this came out from Greg Jarrett. Obama knew details of wiretap Flynn phone calls. Surprising top Department of Justice official in a meeting where Biden was president. Declassified documents show. Oh. President Obama was aware of the details of then incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's intercepted December 2016 phone calls with then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, apparently surprising then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates. This occurred on big important date, January 5th, 2017. According to documents released on May 7th, 2020. That recent document dump. These documents were produced as exhibits to the government's motion to dismiss the Flynn case. Obama's unexpectedly intimate knowledge of the details of Flynn's calls, which the FBI acknowledged at the time were not criminal, the General Flynn's calls were not criminal or improper. How they got that information might have been criminal, though, huh? Yeah, I think. Raised eyebrows because of Obama's own history with Flynn. and because top FBI officials secretly discussed whether their goal was to, quote, get Flynn fired, end quote, when they interviewed him in the White House on January 24th, 2017. Obama had personally warned the Trump administration against hiring Flynn and made clear he was, quote, not a fan, end quote, according to multiple officials. In fact, as I understand it, one of the only people that Obama told President-elect Trump not to bring into his administration was General Flynn. Why? Several reasons. One, as I have pointed out over many years' time, General Flynn knows where all the bodies are buried. What does that mean, Dave? Well, it means that if you look back, General Flynn was one of the people who came forward and said, wait a minute. There are problems with this Benghazi story, number one. Number two, there was a weapons running operation done in the Obama administration, and those weapons were flowing from our intelligence agencies into, yeah, you guessed it, that benevolent group of people, ISIS. That's right. And that is why General Flynn was terminated from his position back in 2014 as director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Because he had the, let's use an Obama term, audacity to tell the truth. And the deep state puppets and the deep state, they don't want that. Heaven forbid you have an honest person telling the truth. So when that happens, what do? They got to persecute the person who told the truth. And that is what you saw for the past 4 years with General Flynn. They could not have him arm's length, that close to the president-elect, to the president of the United States, Donald Trump. And remember, President General Flynn had also noted that one of his objectives was to review Department of Defense and the intelligence agencies' funding and their expenditures. Oh, I can't have that. We got to frame this guy. We got to set this guy up. We got to put this guy in the gulag. Goes on. Greg Jarrett. On January 5th, big day, for a number of reasons. On January 5th, 2017, Sally Yates, attended an Oval Office meeting with then FBI Director, isn't this quite the crew, James Comey, Vice President Joe Biden. Question I have is, I wonder if Biden even realized he was in the Oval Office. Okay. Then CIA Director John Brennan, one of the three amigos, and then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. We have the three amigos there, plus a couple others. Obama, Brennan, and Clapper. According to newly declassified documents, including witness reports. After the briefing, Obama asked Yates and Comey to, quote, stay behind, end quote. Boy, I would have run out of the room. And said he had, quote, learned of the information about Flynn, end quote, and his conversation with Russia's ambassador about sanctions. Obama, quote, specified he did not want any additional information on the matter, but was seeking information on whether the White House should be treating Flynn any differently. Oh, end quote. Isn't that interesting? At that point, the document showed, quote, Sally Yates had no idea what the president was talking about, but figured it out based on the conversation. Like, what was she? Wait a minute. They got information from here, but they also got it from an illegal platform? From a parallel platform? What? Quote, it was not clear to Yates from where the president first received the information. Did it come from a warrant associated with the NSA? Or did it come from illegal activity from a parallel platform? She was so surprised by the information she was hearing. Now listen, Yates has been in the swamp for years, okay? She's part of the problem, not the solution. But anyone and everyone that first comes in contact with the fact that these illegal parallel platforms exist and their power, and the fact that the people running them can run roughshod and not get caught, it takes people's breath away. Many people say, well, I just can't believe that. Okay. But there's whistleblowers. Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe on this platform admit that they were hired to work on parallel platforms that were not part of the NSA system, that were being run through the CIA. Wait a minute, the CIA, according to its mandate and charter, they're not supposed to be involved in domestic activities. Correct. Does that mean that the people that were using this were violating the law? You bet. That's why it took her breath away. She was so surprised by the information she was hearing that she was having a hard time processing it and listening to the conversation at the same time, end quote. So here's what's going through Sally Yates' head. I'm now aware of an illegal system that's being used to use as potential bait to take down a 3-star general who's the former head of the DIA. And she's thinking, wait a minute, am I in this? I mean, am I an accomplice to this? Because I'm now aware of an illegal system. This is why, look, Yates isn't any rookie. She's a hardened swamp creature. And she had trouble with this. And then Yates said the following. Yates would later say that she was concerned Flynn would be vulnerable to blackmail. There you go. There you go. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. If it were not for General Flynn, for his family, and for Sidney Powell, it's not just his freedom would have been stripped. Every American's freedom would have been stripped to the max. General Flynn, his family, and Sidney Powell have given you your freedom. It's that simple. And it's that courageous. I thank you for your time today. I hope you'll join us on the radio show every Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern. It's free. Just go to davejanda.com, hit the listen live button. But I hope you'll become part of our Freedom family. Without our subscribers, this YouTube channel, the website, the radio show would not exist. It's 30 cents a day. It's the biggest bang for the buck. Extra shows, extra content, access to all of our podcasts, access to our contributing editors, access to our healthcare policy series, access to the best analysis and the most honest analysis you will come in contact with. I thank you for your time. I hope you'll join us and become a subscriber at davejanda.com. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thank you for your time today.